Now that the Packers offseason has officially arrived, can the Packers expect some big changes coming? We're going to talk about that in this video. Speaking of offseason, there's not going to be an offseason with this channel. There's going to be so much to go over and cover. In fact, if you'd have been listening to the commentators and analysts out there talking about Green Bay when referring to their 2024 season before it even started, a lot of them were saying that this team is 1 year away, making 2025 their season. Of course, an easy mark to make when you were talking about the youngest team in the league, making history, going to the playoffs, wreaking havoc, going to Dallas, doing the damage that they did, and becoming so close, almost knocking off San Francisco, almost going to the NFC Championship. Of course, those same expectations were on this year's Packer team. They fall short. So how do they pick up the pieces? Well, there's going to be a lot to go over and cover this offseason. Things like cap space. How can the Packers increase their cap space? What about the free agency market or even in-house free agents? Who do they re-sign? In fact, Brian Gutekunst made two big splashes last offseason, signing Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. Both guys had dramatic impacts for this team offensively and defensively. Can Brian Gutekunst go and make those same type of splashes this offseason? What about the draft that's going to be taking place in Lambeau Field? So much to go over and cover. You're going to want to be a part of this team by hitting that subscribe button or even the like button. It helps the algorithm system out for this channel. So please help support this channel by doing that. What about the head coach or even defensive coordinator position? A position that needed to be filled desperately when we cut ties with Joe Barry, a much needed separation between our defense and Joe Barry. The Packers bring on Jeff Hafley, of course, much needed presence of Jeff Hafley there. This dude had such a dramatic impact on this Packer team. In fact, if you would have been talking about one of the brightest spots in the playoffs against Philadelphia, you would have been talking about the Packers defense, which a lot of people wouldn't have guessed that going into that game. Jeff Hafley did such a great job scheming against the Philadelphia Eagles, giving the Packers offense so many opportunities. The Packers just fell short there. So Hafley, of course, took over the Packers defensive job this year. Of course, head coach position that he left at Boston College to join Matt LaFleur, a familiar face for him. And of course, we knew that if Jeff Hafley was going to have a successful season, he was going to be being looked at by some other teams out there. One of them, he's going to be interviewing with the New York Jets. Of course, there's some head coaching positions out there that are going to need to be filled with Dallas, with the Raiders, with the Jaguars, with the Bears, with the Saints, and now with the Jets. He's interviewing with the Jets. Now, what is my take on that? Do I think that the Jets will be, there's going to be a lot of coaches being interviewed. Jeff Hafley, of course, this certainly helped his resume dramatically. The Packers improved greatly under Hafley as the year went on, going from 21st ranked in yards to 14th ranked in points allowed after 5 games to 5th and 6th, respectively. Hafley was able to do it despite not having his top cornerback, Jair Alexander, for most of the season. So hats off to Jeff Hafley doing what he did. Of course, the Packers are going to have to dress the cornerback position there. And this dude mainly did it without blitzing a whole lot, which is surprising because I thought when Jeff Hafley came on board, they were going to be creating a lot of havoc at the line of scrimmage. I thought they were going to be sending a lot of pressure, sending multiple blitzes and disguises there, but not so much. The Packers were probably everybody knew that they were going to be playing a zone majority of the time, and they did it effectively. So hats off to Jeff Hafley. But what did the Packers do from here? Of course, knowing that Jeff Hafley could potentially be interviewing for the Jets position. So you see him and Robert Saleh right here, just kind of talking at practice and consulting with one another. Of course, Robert Saleh is the next guy that makes sense if, for whatever reason, Jeff Hafley were to take a head coach position. Robert Saleh would be the next guy that, obviously Matt LaFleur claws up. Of course, Robert Saleh himself has been interviewing for head coaching positions or even the defensive coordinator position that's vacant in San Francisco, a place that he's familiar with. So it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Packers to see who goes where. But Jeff Hafley, I do think, is going to end up staying in Green Bay. That's my take on that. Leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts. Do you see a world where Jeff Hafley leaves Green Bay and takes a position elsewhere? Of course, Robert Saleh would make the most sense for the vacancy that would potentially be there in Green Bay. I don't see a world where Jeff Hafley leaves. I think he's going to be there for at least another year or two. And if the Packers continue to have such success defensively, then I think he probably takes a head coaching position somewhere. Leave your comments. And as always, go Pack, go.